They told me, "You're on your own financially." A week later, they handed my sister condo keys, 2 bedrooms, lake view, a red ribbon on the door. No one asked if I had rent money. No one noticed when I disappeared. For years later, my name hit Forbes and my research changed everything. That's when my mother showed up uninvited, smiling like she owned the place. She said she'd come to celebrate, but in her purse was a paper that froze my blood. I thought she wanted forgiveness. She wanted something else, something worth exactly $1 million. My name is Emily Carter. I grew up in a house that looked perfect from the street. 2 stories, trimmed hedges, the kind of place where neighbors waved and called us a nice family. Inside, it was different. I was an understudy in a play where my mother, Margaret, was the director, and my sister, Sophie, was the star. Every conversation circled Sophie. Every photo on the mantle centered her. If I was in one, it was by accident. Sophie was the dancer, the miracle, the baby girl. When she performed, Dad recorded every step. When I brought home straight A's, he didn't look up from his newspaper. Mom would say, "We don't brag in this house, Emily." But Sophie's achievements were always exempt. At 16, Sophie got a car with a red bow. I got her old bus pass and a lecture on gratitude. Dinner was the same script nightly. Dad talked work, Mom praised Sophie, and I cleared plates, the lemon scent of detergent masking my invisibility. I told myself I was strong, that being unseen meant independence. But it was a lie and I knew it. When I got into college, I rehearsed my tuition request for days, waiting until Dad was relaxed, newspaper folded, TV humming low. "I'll need help with room and board," I said carefully. Mom didn't look up from her laundry. Dad muttered, "You've got scholarships, right? You're 18. You'll manage." Those words cut deeper than they sounded. That night, I filled out loan forms under a dim lamp while Sophie slept across the hall. I wasn't angry, just hollow like a door had closed, and I was left outside. College was a blur of labs, ramen, and side jobs. I sent short texts home, hoping someone might ask if I was okay. They didn't. The family group chat glowed with Sophie's dresses, vacations, and engagement to a man with perfect hair. I muted the notifications. Then Dr. Elena Cruz, my research mentor, changed everything. She called me meticulous, said, "You don't just follow instructions, you think." No one had said that before. The lab became my refuge. The hum of centrifuges, the clean scent of ethanol, the thrill of a successful experiment. I didn't have to shrink myself there. By graduation, I'd built a wall of calm. I stopped waiting for approval, stopped asking for help. I thought I was free, until a photo shattered that illusion. Sophie, holding a condo key, a lake shimmering behind her, captioned, "Happy 21st, baby girl." A red bow, the same shade as her car's years ago, tied it together. The post burned quietly, more than anger ever could. No one asked, "How are you, Emily?" I set my phone down and returned to my polymer dissolution notes as if nothing had happened. But something had, something final. Home wasn't a place anymore. It was a concept I'd outgrown. My scholarship covered a basement apartment, thin walls, humming pipes, the faint smell of instant noodles. I spent nights in the lab, chasing numbers instead of sleep. Dr. Cruz noticed. "You're different lately," she said. "Focused. I hope what you're chasing is for you, not against someone else." I wanted to say it was both, but I nodded. When Stanford offered a fully funded PhD, I didn't tell my parents or Sophie. I packed my dented Honda with notebooks and wilted plants and drove to California. Somewhere on that highway, I stopped being a daughter. Stanford was a new world. Worth wasn't measured in attention, but in discovery. I belonged to the midnight lab shifts, pipettes, playlists, fluorescent lights. Silence meant focus, not neglect. Occasionally, the family chat lit up with holiday photos or Sophie's engagement ring, captioned, "My beautiful girls." I wasn't invited. I scrolled through like a stranger. Then came a text, just for me. "Heard you finished your PhD. Congratulations. Maybe now you can help Sophie with her business idea." No question mark, just expectation. I deleted it and blocked the number. Years later, my work became a biotech startup built from stubborn faith and long nights. Mark Reynolds, My sharp, kind partner joined me. We created something real. Investors called me Dr. Carter, a name that once meant nothing in my family chat, but now opened doors. Success came quietly, then all at once: funding, headlines, an acquisition offer. That's when the noise found me again. A friend texted, "Your mom posted about you." I opened Facebook for the first time in years. There was Margaret, smiling beside Sophie. So proud of my daughters. One runs a business. The other made a scientific breakthrough. A mother's sacrifices are worth it. Sacrifices. The word felt like lead. She'd erased years of silence, rewritten them as devotion. I wanted to comment to remind her we hadn't spoken in a decade, but I realized she didn't post for me. She posted for herself. So I did nothing. That drove her crazy. Weeks later, my assistant buzzed, "A woman's here." Says she's family. My heart sharpened. Send her in. Her perfume hit first, vanilla and guilt, too sweet to be real. Margaret looked unchanged. Immaculate hair, pearls, confidence that filled the room. "Emily," she said, arms wide, like this was a reunion, not an intrusion. I stood slowly. "Mom." She scanned my office, glass walls, framed patents, the hum of success. "So, this is where the genius happens," she said. "You didn't tell us." Imagine my surprise reading about my daughter in Forbes. I forced a smile. "You could have called." "Oh, I did," she said lightly. "You changed your number. I figured you were busy, so I thought I'd visit. Family celebrates together, right?" Her eyes searched my desk. I motioned to a chair. "Sit." She opened her purse, pulled out a folded paper, and slid it across. "I've been thinking about everything I've done for you," she said. "The sacrifices raising you girls. It hasn't been easy." I glanced at the paper, typed lines, itemized, private school tuition, meals, emotional labor, totaling $1 million. My breath caught. "You're asking me to pay you $1 million for being my mother?" Her smile hardened. "For everything I gave up. Things you could never repay." "Family doesn't work like that," I said. "Family," she snapped, "doesn't abandon the woman who gave them everything. You chose to have me, Mom. Children don't owe parents for being born." She faltered, then leaned closer. "Can or won't." I'd spent my life avoiding her anger. That ended here. "I'll help with expenses," I said quietly. "But not this." Her face froze. "Then you're no longer my daughter." She stood, smoothed her jacket, and paused at the door. "Your father would be ashamed." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy, alive, final. I stared at her paper, an invoice for motherhood. Tears came, measured, like something stored for decades. By morning, I was done. I walked into the lab before sunrise, the machines humming steadily. I started a new synthesis, notes precise, telling myself this was healing. Order, proof, certainty. Dr. Cruz found me later, holding coffee. She saw the emptiness behind my eyes. "She came, didn't she?" "She wants $1 million," I said. Dr. Cruz didn't flinch. "And what do you want?" "Peace," I said. "But it's not refundable." That night, in a champagne-colored dress from a company party, I sat on my office bathroom floor, trembling. The mirror showed someone calm, detached, a stranger. The woman who built a life-saving company was breaking in the corner of her own success. I remembered every Sunday dinner where Mom said, "We do everything for you girls." Every silent ride home where I tried to believe her. Her cruelty wasn't stress, it was control. She gave to own. I texted Mark, "Don't come by. I need to think." 2 days later, I met my lawyer. "Create a trust for her," I said. "Basic needs, nothing more. Strict conditions, she can't touch the principal." He raised an eyebrow. "Protecting her from herself?" "Protecting me from her," I corrected. The call started, angry, then pleading, then threats. "You'll regret this." "I forgive you, sweetheart." "Maybe the media should know how ungrateful you are." I stopped answering. Mark watched my phone light up endlessly one night. "You don't have to read them," he said. "I'm not," I replied. "I just need to see how far she'll go." The messages faded. One morning, there were no missed calls, no emails, just quiet. It felt earned. Dr. Cruz called me into her office. "You're working like someone's chasing you," she said. Is it over? Almost, I nodded. She handed me a ticket to a coastal retreat, where lab noise would become waves. The acquisition ceremony came 3 months later. Our company, valued at $80 million, sparkled under champagne and camera flashes. I smiled, shook hands, said the right words. No one saw the scar beneath, where I'd cut the last thread of her control. Outside, Mark handed me water instead of champagne. You okay? I am, I said and meant it. But peace doesn't stay still. 8 years passed. The company thrived. We built, healed, lived. Then one autumn morning in Seattle, I saw her sitting on a curb, paper cup in hand, gray hair tangled, eyes dim. My breath stopped. I parked, bought 2 coffees, and sat beside her. She didn't recognize me at first, then whispered, Emily, like a question she feared finishing. We talked for an hour, half-truths, fragile fragments. She was sick, pride having taken what the world hadn't. I arranged help through the trust, not as a daughter, but as a human refusing cruelty. I didn't forgive her, but I stopped letting her story define mine. The city looked softer as I drove away, like it was letting me go. I didn't tell anyone about that meeting. Not Mark, not Dr. Cruz. It wasn't a secret, it was closure. A social worker later said she'd accepted the help but refused to list me as her emergency contact. I almost laughed. Even at the end, she wanted the last word. I didn't fight it. She was safe, fed, housed. The rest wasn't my job. Some nights, I'd sit on my balcony, city lights like distant stars, thinking how peace doesn't roar like revenge or crash like heartbreak. It hums, steady like the lab machines that held me together. At Dr. Cruz's retirement dinner, she took my hands. You've built everything you wished for. Don't forget to rest inside it. I promised to try. Mark and I grew our company slowly, creating scholarships for girls in science, kids like me, before the silence hardened. Each time one lit up over a breakthrough, something in me softened. One morning, a letter arrived, my name in shaky handwriting. Inside, one line, thank you for the coffee. No apology, no signature. It was enough. That evening, I drove to the lake near our old neighborhood. The water was still, holding its breath before dawn. I whispered a goodbye no one heard and let it sink into the ripples. Freedom wasn't victory, it was calm. Love doesn't always heal. Sometimes it teaches you who you become without it. Closure isn't a conversation or a neat ending with hugs and tears. It's the moment you stop waiting for an apology that won't come and live anyway. I don't hate my mother, nor do I love her. I wish her peace far from mine. If you've built yourself from the silence your family left, know this. You don't owe anyone for surviving. You don't owe forgiveness to stay free. Share your story. Someone needs to hear it. If this found you, stay.